Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I filmed. It's just been crazy busy around here. I wanted to give you a quick update on this garden. And it's late July 29th. All the wild blackberries are done. And I'm going to come to the very edge of this garden to show you what we've been doing. So, when we moved in, right, this is a hill. The owner sold part of the property to the back, and they cut the hill, and they left this all bare. And we had these tall weeds that we've been fighting ever since we moved in, so I've been getting chip drops so that I could fight the weeds and keep it down. Now that we're gardening, I want to turn this whole thing into a beautiful vegetable garden. I measured it out. It's about 60 feet long all the way down the back, and I think it was 20 feet this way in most places. It's not 100% even. So we've been importing the chips, the wood chips, and we've been edging here and putting, sorry for my shadow, putting all these rocks that we find around the property as a border, so when we mow, we don't go that way. So if I turn, I'm trying to show you without showing you my neighbors. So when you come to about where this pallet is, there's a big drop right here. So my plan is to, first of all, I have these pallets set up like a fence, right? And this pallet is bigger than those. I'm going to get them all the same size and level them out better. And I think I'm going to bump them out just about 2 feet more that way. And I'm going to use T-posts to hammer into the back of them so that they'll stay up. And then what we'll do is we'll backfill all the mulch against these pallets to act like almost like a terrace and make it more level so that we can walk on this and plant. A few weeks ago I planted these and I forgot to label them. I think there's some kind of watermelons. So more on this garden update. Let me come over here. Over here we have some more watermelon. Some of them are sugar babies. Now, we had these tarps down trying to kill off these weeds, and I've removed this one so that we could put in this pallet fence, which needs some serious fixing. But I had to stop the day I was doing that, and I hadn't returned to the project yet. And I want to show you this corn that I had planted in the ground is doing so well. Look how thick the stalks are on these corn. I don't think they'll be ready till September, but these are doing much better than the ones that I had grown in containers. They look healthier. They seem to be more hydrated, and they seem to be bigger in circumference of the stems. So let me show you the ones in the containers and what they're doing right now. So, right here we have the sugar corn. And as you can tell, these stems aren't nearly as thick. And this is with the sub-irrigated pipe system. They did grow, don't get me wrong, but I would say that in the ground they're doing much better. And that could be because of the wood chips that we've had down where I planted for over a year, and I didn't do anything special to the ones in the ground except water them. So that makes me think that this wood chip stuff is really working out nicely and much better than these containers, because it's almost like the temperature is regulated better. So now if I go to this bucket of corn, I have some sugar corn in here, but I also planted this Tom Thumb corn, which might actually be a popping corn, but it was supposed to produce little tiny ears of corn, which are adorable. And I pulled one out to see what it was doing today. And I have this little guy. And if I show you this one, remember I showed you the hand pollinating video? Well, this one right here is where I took it from. And I don't know if an animal snapped it or if I did it accidentally. While I was watering one day. But it snapped it right here, so it stopped growing. And when you look at the back side, that's what the back side looks like. But there are a few good kernels on this side. So I think what I'll do now is harvest the rest of these and see if they're done. Because I kept feeling the base of these, hoping that it would go all the way to the top, but it hasn't. And these are quite brown and look like they're dying. So I don't know if I think they're ready to harvest. Let me just feel something here. No, that's just the stem there. So, just 1 second. So I'm gonna pull this one off. Hopefully it's done. Doesn't feel quite as developed as the other one. Maybe I should just peel it from here first and take a peek inside. Yeah, what's going on? Oh, this is so. Looks kind of green in there. It's pretty. A lot of layers. All right, what do we got? I don't know if this one would be done. It's tiny. Let me see this. They say if you push your nail into it and you get milk that it's done. So I guess that's done. I'll pull it off. See this? Look how tiny that is. I don't know. It didn't fully grow, I don't think, because there was room at the top. See that? It didn't fully grow, or maybe I should have left it longer. But I think they're cute. I have to research this further because these seeds came from the library and it just said Tom Thumb corn. I don't recall it saying popping corn. But when I look online, it does say popping corn. So we shall see. Not sure how long to leave these. I'm thinking I will leave the rest. There's a few here. There's this one, and when I feel it, it's not. It has a ways to go with development. It stops here, but it feels like I could go up to here, like another 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, even though the plant looks like it's dying. Hopefully no squirrels will get to it. So that's the update on corn, and that I will be planting my vegetables in the ground next year, thanks to the mulch, which is doing a good job of creating a good soil. And we have a lot of work cut out for us. So what else would I do differently? Well, first of all, this I would do the same. I would still grow these potatoes in these hamper type things. They are working out well. I can't wait to see what kind of a harvest we get on them. And I would definitely still grow peppers in these sub-irrigated buckets. We've had a good yield on them, but I would try to start my seeds with a indoors with a grow light, which I did not do. And these were transplants that I bought, but they did so good. I also would plant marigolds, but put them in pots around these buckets, not in the same bucket, because I feel like it needs more airflow in here to keep the plant healthy. I mean, this plant's pretty healthy, and we've been harvesting these are Marconis. We've been harvesting these and it's doing fine. However, I noticed on the tomatoes, which I'll show you in a minute, just how crowded it is, and so hopefully the marigolds are actually repelling things. That's what they always say to plant. But I just feel like at the bases you need more air circulation to keep it disease free. And watering from the bottom helps tremendously. Now, what else I would do differently? I would, these are green beans that did not do well because they were attacked by Japanese beetles. So I would try to manage the Japanese beetles better next year. As I just saw a pumpkin plant, I would definitely grow my pumpkins in the ground and not in these containers. It did well until the base started turning yellow and I suspected the vine borers, and I did surgery and I killed the plants. So I unraveled it from the trellis I had. I spread them out on the ground. I tried putting clumps of dirt, hoping it would create new roots somewhere along the vine. Didn't work. It's dead. Dead. And I can't recall if I planted this. I don't know what it is, or if it's just shooting up. But it'll be a surprise. Next, what I learned about basil. Finally, it took a while to start growing, but once it grew, it did fine. But see how the leaves are curling? I would grow this in the shade and not in the direct sun, especially in the middle of the heat of the summer. It's been like a heat wave the past few days. So now he's in the shade. Hopefully the leaves will uncurl and not be crunchy. I learned also that these baskets that I made with the garden cloth, I thought this would act like a grow bag, and I had the worst time. Getting things to sprout, keeping things hydrated, moist. These are onions and they're doing horrible, absolutely horrible. So I'm going to transplant them out into the raised bed garden where the other ones are doing okay. Everything I've grown in these has failed or struggled. So I would not do those baskets again. Now over here, I had the strawberries that were growing in hanging baskets, and I saw that they were suffering, so I planted them out here into a bed, and now they're shooting off their runners. So what I need to do, because obviously this bed is now too small and I have more in the round bucket right there that I need to plant out. So I need to create a space that is much bigger for these to just ramble and do their thing and fill in. So these plants were given to me by a woman in town, and they they produced fruit in June, but I'm hoping next year there'll be a nice big crop. Supposedly these were already the runner plants that she gave me, so supposedly in the second year there's more fruit, which is good. So then I have another thing of corn here, another thing of corn behind these daylilies, and it's all doing well. And so here's an example of the tomatoes with all the, see, I pruned this tomato. I don't know if you can see where my finger is right here because the sun's in my eyes. I pruned the leaves and the stems at the base, but this is just too bushy. They're doing well, but it seems like not enough air to me. And I've been, the sun over here has been brutal. It's like 8+ hours of sun a day, but we do have finally some fruit on here, and waiting for fruit on these plants. There's plenty of buds, waiting for fruit here. And this is the best looking one. Now he looks a little yellow right now because see the fruit? Oh, they're doing so good. I had I had a sheet over this because I wanted to protect it from the scorching sun. But it did turn the plant a bit yellow. Might have to perk it up with a little Epsom salt or something. But these are doing so good. This guy is the biggest. I keep watching him. And then there's some in the back right there. They're gonna be delicious. Those are the beefsteak tomatoes. And his trellis broke, so I had to rig up something else with a stick behind him, or else the whole plant would snap. And here's the, boy, I don't know if you guys can see this in the sun. This is the Cupid cherry tomatoes in there. And this plant, I just left it alone, no pruning. And everything's gone crazy and it's leaning over. So they're in the grow bags. And I'm not too sure I like these grow bags. I'm sure the root system's looking good. However, it takes more work to keep them hydrated, to keep them watered. And I think I'd rather just plant them in the ground, these tomatoes, with a better staking system. So let me show you what else. Okay, so here we have a bucket that I use to do sunflowers. Now I did mammoth, 4 mammoth sunflowers. And they grew just fine in the pot. And I had one that bloomed early. And he's already dying back, and I'm waiting to see if there'll be seeds. And then we have this one's getting ready to bloom. Well, you can't see it, it's so high up. But that one's getting ready to bloom. I can't see it from this angle, the other one, but they all look like they're about ready to bloom. And down here I planted at the base a smaller variety. They bloom, but look how leggy they are. I don't understand why they're so leggy, considering the sun beats this way most of the day. But they aren't doing as well as the mammoth ones did. I would definitely put these in the ground. My one happiness about doing it in the bucket was that I was able to avoid the bunnies eating the seedlings. What else would I do? Hold on one second. So here we have the sugar baby watermelon. And I grew it in a pot. And it is doing very good. I'm hoping that these fruits get bigger. I might need to give it some more fertilizer. But I'm growing more of these in the ground to see how much better they fare. And I have a really good suspicion that they'll do much better in the ground. And in this bucket we have, this is some kind of gourd squash, and this is winter squash. You know, the kind you can make birdhouses out of. And they're doing okay. They're starting to do what the pumpkins did. Starting to turn a little yellow, almost like magnesium deficiency again. But this has been treated with Epsom salts, and I might have to do it again. But I'm anxious to see how these do in the buckets. And look, we have little tiny fruit. Look at, which is so cool. Like, I'm learning so much this year. The stems on these are velvety soft compared to a pumpkin, which is prickly and thorny. All right, let me show you what else. In an effort to keep the birds from eating my tomatoes, I put out a nice bird bath. There's one on this side of the house and one on the other near the bird feeders. So hopefully they'll drink here and not drink my tomatoes. All right, here's another pumpkin plant that was planted many, many months ago. Seems like eternity ago. It was planted early in the season. I think I might transplant him to the ground because he's taking a long time just to grow this much. Maybe if he gets in the ground, he'll take off, and I'll put some nice compost in the bottom of the hole. Because I did hear that pumpkins, watermelons, all those things love compost buried in with it. Then these poor cucumbers started off in the hanging baskets, and the fruit came out curled like this. See how that guy's curled? And so I said, oh, he must not have enough space in his basket. So then I transplanted it to this and trellised it, and it was doing better. But then I noticed a problem in this basket. I don't know if it was overcrowded or just not draining well enough. It wasn't happy and the fruit was still curling. So then I transplanted it into the ground here, and I got this crib off the side of the road to use as a trellis. Let me show you what that looks like. Like that. And started weaving it in. Unfortunately, yesterday my daughter was helping me water, and this thing got knocked and it cut off one of the cucumbers, so that one's dead, but thankfully this guy is still okay. He's curly, but we'll still eat him. And I planted a different variety, and look, we got a little one down here. So I think this area is much better, and I planted these recently. I'd like to see if it takes off being in the ground. So it's my grand experiment. What else? Okay, now we're over towards my raised bed garden, and in these buckets are the blueberries, and these had blueberries early, then this one, and then this one still has blueberries that I'm waiting for them to turn blue. And I have in this strawberry bucket, which is throwing off a ton of runners. I gotta handle this strawberry patch soon. We have a tomatillo that was a volunteer, and I think it came from the woman who gave me the strawberries. Oh, there's a hornet. Oh, he flew away. There he is. Ooh, don't sting me. Don't sting me. Anyway, so I really like, and I've never had tomatillos, but look at how cool those little lanterns are. I have to find out when to harvest those. If they burst open when they're ready or what. So there's one plant in the strawberries and one, I think, growing in the blueberries. So, very interesting. And then, come around here, and I have the pinto beans. And so, these are getting pretty good, pretty ripe. We have one that's green, a yellowish, a reddish yellow, and I'm waiting for them to dry out. Oh, I think I see one that's dried out. They're all at different stages because I planted more like a succession planting, and yeah, this one's dried out. I could probably take this one off and get the beans out of it. Can you see it? Right in there. Looks pretty dry. I'll come out here and pull those beans. So I have different stages going on, and everything's a hot mess. Now these are the lima beans, and down way at the bottom there's a whole bunch of lima, baby limas, and they're looking good. Look at that. Oh, see that? So I'm getting excited for those. And then you come around here. Now, these are just about done. Let's see if I can, oh, I probably can't do it from this side. Let me see. My finger got stuck in the netting. We have the radish seeds that I let go. The radish I let go to seed, and you can eat these little seed pods. I tasted them, they're very good. A little more mild than regular radish, which is the American Globe variety. They're really good in salad. I need to get these out of here and eat them up. And then I planted green beans here. They're doing good. These are a bush variety. And my onion patch is doing a-okay. It is slow going at the beginning. And my peas are finally done. And I learned that when the plant is done, because it fixes nitrogen in the roots, to just cut it off, don't dig it out, and to keep the nitrogen in there. So of course, with all this heat, my lettuce bolted, so I'm letting it go to seed. I'm gonna, can you guys see that? Is it focusing? Oh, there it goes. I can only do this with one hand. Focus. Focus. Anyway, that will be the lettuce seeds I'm going to try to save. And I have my nasturtium, which is doing pretty good. It seems to like this part shade area. And I guess there's 2 varieties here. I tasted it. It tastes... Oh look, here's more blooms. We have the orange, the yellow. They were all bought in the same plant. And I separated them, I think. This one's not doing as good. And look, it's in a grow bag. But this one in the pot is doing so much better. I tasted them. They're a little velvety and not peppery, but definitely has a mild flavor. I like them. Then over here we have more salads that are going to seed, bolting. And I did try carrots in the grow bag. Most of them died off. I planted a ton. And these are the only survivors. 1, 2, 3. 3. Yeah, I wouldn't do it in a grow bag ever again. And I put the lemon balm into this area. This is all mulch and compost. And there's barely any soil here, so I always have to water it. And don't mind the mess. Things got knocked over recently. Now over here towards the chicken coop, I planted some moonflower. It's a vine. It's supposed to smell really good, so hopefully it won't take over being in this area because of all the mulch. Hopefully it won't take over anywhere. But I'm dying to see how fast that grows and how good it smells. Well, I hope that made sense. I am learning an awful lot about gardening, a lot about vegetables, a lot about watching the stages of growth, how to troubleshoot possible problems with imbalances, and what seems to be working. And I'm very excited about the mulch for next year. I'm going to have to get another chip drop delivery so I can make everything as even as possible. And then I'm going to plot out different raised beds. Not using wood, well, not making them like the other one. If I use wood at all, it will be pallet wood because it's free. And I don't have any money to sink into this right now. So either that or I'll just mound up a bunch of mulch and then add compost to it. Next year, like a mounded garden bed without any solid walls, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so that's my update, and these are the things I've been learning. Thanks for watching.